Okay, so now that you understand the basic structure of the good weather app that we will be building, let's get started. And we are going to start from the very beginning. So in this section, you'll be implementing the interface. And obviously interface will go also with the changes as we progress through this journey. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and launch Xcode. I'm using Xcode 10, whatever the latest version is available. You can actually see that I'm using Xcode 10.1, which you can download from the Mac App Store. Go ahead and I'm going to start with a new application, a new project. And you have multiple options. I'm going to go ahead and select a single view application. Go ahead and click Next. Now you have to give some sort of a name for your application. Our name is Good Weather. And let's go ahead and say Next. And then where you want to put it. I'm just going to put it on the desktop. You can actually create another folder somewhere and you can put it there also. There we go. Okay, so this is all the default code that we have. I mean, I haven't really started writing any lines of code. One thing that I would like to check again over here is, okay, that's fine. All right, sorry about that. I'm just checking the font size. Should be good enough for you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to create a particular table view controller which is going to display all the weathers. So the weather of Denver or whichever weather we are interested in. All right, so let's go to the storyboard. And now at this point you might also be wondering, hold on a second, why are you using storyboard? Isn't storyboard like bad or something? Not really. I mean, storyboards are not really bad. It really depends on your requirements. I mean, you can type in all your code if you want to, but I think this will be much easier and faster, definitely, if we just use storyboards. There's nothing really wrong with storyboards, okay? So when I'm developing apps, I will use a lot of storyboards, but whenever I have to jump and create those dynamic contents, then I will jump into code and write those as dynamic contents, all right? So let's go ahead and you can see that the first view controller, I'm just going to delete that. I'm not going to need that one because we will be displaying a list of weathers, right? So for displaying a list, we will need a table view controller. And you see that's on the top. This is a new button they added in Xcode 10. It's actually now over here, the library. So you can simply click on that and search for whatever you want to insert. So I want to insert a table view controller. So I'm just going to search for table view controller and I'll get that. So I'm just going to drag this and now I have a table view controller, right? If you click on the table view controller and go ahead and see different options, one of them will be the attributes inspector. And on the left of that will be the identity inspector. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our table view controller is the initial controller. All right. So if you go over here to, sometimes I just forget these names, attributes inspector, you'll see right over here it's called the isInitialViewController. And when you check that box, you can see now that there is an arrow right next to our table view controller, which is saying that, okay, this will be our initial view controller, the first view that you're going to go. We want to display the navigation bar at the top so we can display a nice name like good weather or something. So the easiest way you can implement a navigation bar is simply go to editor, and by the way, this is selected. So I have actually clicked on this view controller and then I go to editor, I go to embed in, and then a navigation controller. As soon as I do that, you'll see that a navigation controller is now added. So this is my table view controller on the right and the navigation view controller on the left. Let's go ahead and set the title for our table view controller. I'm just going to type in the name of our app, which in this case is Good Weather. Obviously, you can call your app anything you want. Another thing that I want to add is a button over here on the right-hand side, which is going to allow me to add a different city, a new city, whose weather will be displayed in this table view. All right. So this will be called the bar item button. You can actually click on the library and search for something called bar button. Here we go. and simply drag this, and you can see that you can put it on the right hand side, but you can also put it on the left. I'm just going to put it on the right hand side, and I want this to appear as a plus button. So if you go to System Item, you can see that there is a default implementation for the Add button, which already displays a large size plus, which is exactly what I wanted. I also want another bar item button on the left hand side, which will allow us to change the settings of our app. So let's go ahead and add one more. Same thing, I'm going to simply drag and drop over here. And this time I'm just going to spell out settings. Great. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to also add the Add View controller, so when I click on this plus button, it should go somewhere, right? So I need to add that controller also. So let's go ahead and add that controller. I'm just going to search for UI View controller, just a basic UI View controller. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on this plus button. Now press on the control key and keep pressing on the control key. And now you can touch your mouse or your keypad, and then you can actually, or mouse pad, and you can now actually go from here to here, like a segue. So now you have to select that, okay, is it going to be displayed in a modal or in a part of a navigation? I'm going to say it's going to go and display the modal. Modal basically means that this controller, the view controller that we just added, when you click the plus sign, it's going to slide up from the bottom and cover this whole screen. All right. Another thing I should do is, if it covers the whole screen, there's no way to dismiss it. So maybe I should also add a navigation controller for this one, for the Add Weather View controller, so that when I click on dismiss, it can dismiss. So I'll go to Editor, Embed in, Navigation Controller. And you can see the navigation controller is added. Now I can go to my Add View controller over here, and I can change this title. Let's say I can say Add City or whatever. Okay. And we will build this later on. All right. So let's see how it looks like. If I go over here, and right now we don't really have any color or anything like that. So let's go ahead and run and see the bare bones, the structure of the app that we have built at that particular point. We haven't really written any line of code, so it will look a little strange because it's all default stuff. But in the next lecture, I'm going to show you that how you can start theming your application, basically applying colors and so on. But before we do that, let's go ahead and run our app and see how it looks like right now. To run the app, simply go over here on the top, and you can select what kind of simulator you want to run on. I'm just going to select that's okay. iPhone XR is automatically selected by default. That's fine. And then press the play button. So let's go ahead and run it on iPhone XR. You can obviously run it on iPhone XS Max and XS and iPhone 7 and 8 and all so on. So this is our app. You can see that it displays a list, but in that list there is nothing. We haven't really figured out how to populate the weather. There is a plus sign, there is a settings button. If I click on the setting, nothing really happens. But if I click on the plus sign, you can see that our Add City View controller, the view controller we just added, kind of slides up in a modal kind of a display. Unfortunately, there is no way to dismiss this. We are going to implement that later on also. But I think it's a good start. We have a basic structure of our app at least. And in the next lecture, as I told earlier, we are going to start theming it. We are going to start making it a little bit better looking. So stay tuned for that.